guys, so Mr. Pettit was telling me that he didn't have a place to hold all of his pencils, and you guys were doing stuff on mining, and so I figured we could do a little bit of TIG welding, which has a bunch of different materials that have to be mined and refined for our use. For instance, we have the tungsten electrode that's in this TIG torch, this welding torch. We have the stainless steel that we're going to be fuse welding together, and we have the filler wire, which is going to be adding metal to the weld to make it strong. So right now we're just going to get to it and see what we can do.
So take note here, as always, eye protection in TIG welding and any kind of welding, really bright lights. I'll include a little video showing how these things work. Some of these are electronic, so they kick in, but it's so bright it can cause blindness, maybe not immediate, but damage to the eye. So we're going to, as always, eye protection. Go for it, Max.
Alrighty.
We're getting inside of the mask here. So if I look around, we can see it's a green shade, but as I look up towards the sun, it immediately kind of blacks out so we can actually look at the sun without blinding ourselves. Well, it's bright, it's dark, and we kick down and it cuts back off. That's how the welding masks work. So Max, if you're going, we note that you got this thing clamped in, but it's wired in. What's the deal with that?
So when we're welding, the whole circuit goes, you have your positive terminal, which is the TIG torch, and then you have to create an electrical arc, basically a spark that never sets itself out.
Right.
And that creates a ton of heat, and that's what melts the metal together and allows us to do it. But in order to have that complete circuit, you have to have a really strong ground clamp that's held in to the base material that you're welding, and that goes all the way back to the welder back there.
Which we can show. So this whole thing, as we're kind of looking at what Max was showing.
We have a torch.
Here, cable in going, is rigged up into this guy, etc. So this is a electrical procedure, if you will. So we have a ground in here, the positive in here, and like Max is saying, we are literally just melting the material itself. As Max is getting some more material, I'm going to kind of bring us around and show you from this end. So okay, he's literally just melting the metal together, but now he has some filler material that he can put in as well.
And there we go. That's one of our pieces together.
Once again, the negative end onto one of the pieces of metal, so we have complete contact. So the whole welding process here is sort of like gluing the metal together, but instead of glue, he's just melting it and it's fusing it together to be one solid piece. Pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to put it in the vise to hold it together.
All right. Max, why do you sometimes use the rod and sometimes not use the rod?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, I'm not very good at what I'm doing. But the other reason is sometimes when the fit is not quite perfect, you'll have two pieces of material that aren't perfectly flat together. You'll have a little gap in there, and as soon as there's a gap, you need to add material in order for it to weld properly. Because if you have a piece of metal and it's almost there, and then as you heat it, it'll actually change shape. So you'll find that during welding, it'll either open up a gap or it'll close up a gap. And there's no way to truly know until you start putting the heat on it, because as heat changes how big the part is. It literally expands and contracts with the addition and subtraction of heat.
Yeah. Here we go. Thermal expansion coming into a practical application, especially something like welding, where we're using a lot of heat. You'll notice how Max kind of does one end and the other. He's just kind of trying to stitch it together. So it kind of stuck solid on the two sides, and then he can weld and piece it together along the sides. So now he's got it kind of structurally into a box. We can kind of neaten things up. Also notice how the clamp is now just on the vise. Well, he still has metal touching metal. So the negative clamp is touching the vise, but then the vise is touching the box, making the circuit complete. As we talked about, metals tend to conduct electricity. So in this case, we're kind of working with steel and steel. The vise is a little more iron content than the steel he's working with, but still, iron to iron, making solid contact, conducting electricity. Pretty nice.
Those ones didn't turn out too bad. It's the earlier one, and then just now getting that one done.
Yeah, nice even seam. And getting some finishing touches on the old pencil box. Once again, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, or a round peg into a square hole. Anyway, something like that.
Do some touch up on the bottom.
Oh, there we go. We have a basic setup weld. We'll probably do a little bit of touch up, this and that, but once again, Max, thanks for showing us the aspect of TIG welding.
Anytime.
All right. See ya.